Hey, Zoe, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I am great. How is the weather in South Carolina?
It was really nice and sunny and warm, and then we got a cold front coming through. So right now it's like the 40s, but hoping for summer weather to be here to stay soon. How's it over there in Trinidad?
Right now, it's the weather that you want. It's summer weather right now.
Yes, I'm
So,
so jealous.
that's not a problem. That's not a problem. So, today our topic is team building. You know, a lot of teams do not understand the whole concept. They do not um, gravitate to team building. Not everybody could be in a team and know that what they're supposed to do from what they're not supposed to do. My understanding in team building is basically a process where employees, gather together cohesively with the intention of achieving a goal, which is achieving maximum potential for the organization in terms of profit and sustainability. What is your take, you would say, in your own words, on the process of team building?
So we like to differentiate between team building and team bonding, and we started
Hmm.
doing that because we had a lot of clients call for to book activities that would be more focused on team bonding, um, but with an expectation of team building results. So we like to say team building is the bricks, and then team bonding is the mortar. So team bonding are more of those leave work at work, just go out and kind of have fun, build camaraderie, kind of get to know each other on a more personal, friendly level. Um, and so things like bowling or kayaking or doing a scavenger hunt, just fun activities where there's no real goal or outcome. It's more about just hanging out and getting to know each other. And team building is more about skill set enhancement or actual development. So either you're dealing with a specific issue, let's say communication errors or conflict resolution, or dealing with a sales team slump. There are very specific issues or skills that you're trying to build and integrate with each other, learning how to use people's strengths and weaknesses together on one team, as you said, cohesively. um, and there's always time for debrief with the team building activities because you really want to make sure that you're pulling out the lessons. There's learning to be had with team building versus team bonding.
Well, you seem like you had a team because I find that you said the process of team building so well that you just have me lost for words. So, like you formulated your own team and you were just very successful in that completion.
Right. Well, we would have people that wanted to, they'd be like, "Oh, okay, we want to do a kayaking tour." And then, a week later, it's like, "Well, why, my team was having fun kayaking, but now we're back in the office and they're sniping
Mhm.
at each other again." It's like, it's easy when you're out of the workplace to have fun with each other, and you do want that kind of relationship, but that is not solving the root of the problem that you're having in the workplace with, if people have different communication styles, if people don't know how to express their ideas and receive ideas, if there's not that open, trusting environment, things like that have to be specifically addressed. You can't just kind of throw a drink at it and say, have a good time, and now we're a cohesive team.
Correct. That is so true. And team bonding is so imperative because sometimes when it is you're doing the team bonding, you want to understand how the team members are working together because one conflict could cause the team to just go down in ashes, and that is something that you do not want. So when it is you have the team bonding, is really to understand each person, not in terms of their competence, but in terms of their relationship with each other. Because to me, in past experience, when I was working at a particular company, it's always from the top, go down to the bottom, they always say. So the manager was not transparent to us. So it caused a feud where members of the team reached out to others and was expressing their views. And with that expressing their views now, it caused gossip. And gossip is something at the end, it does me good. So it started from the top most of the times when it have a conflict in the team, it not necessarily will be within the small portion of people within the team, but it sometimes it's always be from the top come down. Because once is within the team, the senior person will be able now to know exactly, all right, let's pull out this person out of the team because you realize this person is the one who causing the problem, and this is something that team bonding is so important, because if it is you do not understand the workers outside of the workplace, then you will have a big problem.
Absolutely. I mean, how many times even people at the top had to work their way up to the top, and in those, quote unquote grunt positions, those are the people on the floor doing the real work, understanding like if they're coming up with an idea to make a process smoother or faster, it's because they're in the trenches doing the work, and they see how how to improve what's being done. And like you said, a lot of the times the issues do start from the top down, and that's why it's so important to have a good culture already established. You have to have a direction and know exactly what kind of atmosphere you want your company to have, so that if somebody does come in and they don't fit, like you said, right away you can pull that person out. That person is a detriment to the team. That person is going to make the entire team rot, basically. um, and a lot of times when we find that when the issues come from the top down, it's coming from a place of a lack of communication, but also a sense of fear or a lack of trust. Um, Being able to take ideas from the bottom is an ego check, and if you're in a position of leadership, you can't have an ego. You have to put what's best for the company and what's best for your team ahead of yourself. It has to be about the whole unit, not just your success and your name brand, or your reputation kind of thing. It's about everybody together, and you are the leader of that team. So you are the one who has to be able to bring everyone together, not cause them to fall apart.
So true. And hearing the title of team leader, you will think that this person now is the person who actually leading the team. But that is just a title. It has some people who within the team can be the team leader, but they just don't have the title.
Mhm.
We just get that mix up. Because being a team leader, you have to be able to make individuals want to reach your level by uplifting them. And if it is you're not doing that and you find someone at the bottom, being the team lead where everyone is like gravitating to them and they're not gravitating to you, and you are feeling threatened, and you now want to actually make this person feel less of themselves, well, then now you have to do self reflection. And that is not a team leader. Some people have titles. I sure Zoe, you know that from past experience. They just have a title, working in an organization, maybe, somebody who's superior to you just have a title, but really and truly, they are not effective leaders. So don't mix up a title with someone who's saying that there's a leader. That is not so. Most of the times, it's just putting on a show.
Oh, 100%. We've encountered people that are, they have the title, but it's really because they've been there the longest, or they earned that title, but then after several years of being in that position, everything's just kind of, they're more hands off. They're not still involved and doing the work to continue to uplift their team. Um, and it's great if you have team, like if you have your employees are taking ownership and being leaders within their own team. That's what you want. You want people to be able to take ownership of their position, their role, and kind of be their own project managers, their own team leaders. You want that sense of purpose and engagement in the role. You want your team to feel um, feel developed enough in their
Mhm.
position and confident enough in what they're doing that they can make decisions without constantly having to go to the top. A top position, a managerial role, or a leader, a C-suite executive role, they are the oversight. They're not necessarily, they don't need to be down in those trenches. They need to hire the right people to be down in those trenches so that they're the ones kind of overviewing and making sure everything is running smoothly. They're, if there's problems within the unit, they are the problem solvers for that. They don't need to be down in there. They need to hire the right people to be down in there and to trust the people that they've hired enough to do the job well enough that they can come to them and say, okay, I've noticed that we're having an issue here, and then that's when they step in. Or I think that I have a more innovative way to do this, and then that's when they
Mm-hmm.
step in and make decisions. But you have to have that level of trust and mutual commitment to the company. We talk about value, belonging, and mutual commitment to make a cohesion culture. People have to feel like they belong, not
Mm-hmm.
only in their role, but as a part of the organization as a whole. They have to know that they are valued for what they're doing. If you're constantly checking in on them, if you're constantly sniping at them, if you're, you can't feel valued that way. You don't feel like somebody trusts in your ability to get your job done, and then that breeds resentment. Why did you hire me if you don't
Mm-hmm.
believe that I can do this?
Some great points you made there. And the second law of thermodynamics in physics says that energy flows from hot to cold and energy is transferable. And as a team leader, once it is you have negative energy portraying to your subordinates, your team, it will have a negative impact. So when you walk into our office and let's say you're full of energy, that energy transfers to your superior, to your colleague. But when you walk into our office and someone displays a negative energy, it's a negative energy that you will have within the office environment. And that is something what we have to understand. And keeping positivity within the work environment is most imperative. Like, for example, I walked into our office yesterday and I displayed positive energy, but from the individual who was interacting with, he displayed a negative energy. But you now have to understand as an individual how to keep a calm. So when this individual displayed that negative energy, I kept a calm and told myself I want to have a level of integrity and I do not want to portray that negative energy that he is portraying. It's all about, knowing yourself, knowing what you want in life. My career passion is sales, right? So I know to myself that I came in that office to discuss about sales. If you trying to be negative about me, I will leave peacefully and go somewhere else because I know to myself what I want to achieve out of life and I know to myself what it is that I came here for. I came to provide value to you, and with that now, you now will tell me if it is you accepting to do business with me or not. But if you want to display a negative energy towards me, well then after, my friend, it have other people who will want my services. So I leave you right there and I go on elsewhere. And I just forget about you, just dust you off like if you are nothing, because negativity is something that I do not want in my life. I want to be positive. I want to go to the extreme of pillars. And that's me in a nutshell.
Well, and that's why it's so important to have the right people in the right roles, because
Mm-hmm.
you know yourself well enough to know exactly like what your goals are. You have a very positive attitude and you work hard to maintain that positive attitude. Now, that makes you good at sales. You have a good rebound rate, you're resilient, and you're pushing forward positively. If you have somebody that is, more more technically minded, but maybe can't handle that kind of constant rejection and still be able to bounce back, it's not so resilient. Sales would not be a good role for them, but maybe they would have a more fitting role somewhere else in the company. So one of the important parts of team building is figuring out people's strengths, weaknesses, what their purpose in life is. Kind of, I mean, you don't need to know their full purpose in life, but you have to know what motivates them, and then to
Mm-hmm.
put the right people in the right roles. So often we come across hiring processes that and there's a lot of reasons why it happens, but the hiring process is where it's just a body to fill a role, and that, I mean, that's not good for the person filling the role or the company. You're not getting the best of in either of those situations. And sometimes that happens just because there's nobody applying for the job. There's not, you're not finding qualified candidates, what have you. But sometimes it's just pure. It's a failure in the hiring process. You're not correctly identifying strengths, weaknesses, personalities, things like that
Mm-hmm.
before you're hiring, and then you're finding the issue months down the line when you realize you put the wrong person in the wrong role, or you hired somebody that doesn't fit in with the culture that you've created. So it's, it's from the beginning to the end. You have to think of the company and what you want. Like, you have to have a clear vision of
Mm-hmm.
what it's supposed to look like, what each person in each role should be, and how they should fill that role, where your company's headed, and then you have to be able to translate that to everybody at every level
Mm-hmm.
in the company so that everyone's heading in the same direction.
Correct. And I just want to big up my friend here, Maria, watching live from Cyprus. Great discussion. Hey, Maria, what's up? Benjamin said, so many have the mindset that team building is just trust falls and ropes courses. Is there more than that?
Absolutely. Oh, yeah, we hate those trust falls. I don't know where people got the idea that catching somebody or not catching somebody as they fell suddenly built, trust and open communication. Team building is about skill set
Mm-hmm.
development, and like we said before, specifically problem solving. What we do, so this is why I love what we do, because I'm a pusher. I like to make sure people are
Mm-hmm.
always working and striving towards their best self. So with our team building stuff, we do activities that are, I hate to use the word stressful, but they kind of are. We gamify everything. So it's always fun stress, but
Mm-hmm.
there's stressful situations, and it forces people to drop those workplace facades. When you go in the office, you have like an office persona, but when you're in the trenches and something's going wrong, even if you're in the office, that facade falls off, and your true self comes forth. So we like to push people into these stress fun situations so that that facade falls down and we see the true them, like how they really do problem solve, how they do handle stress, how they communicate when they're in the throes of something, and things are just going wrong. And that we break that down, and then we build back up. So we identify where issues may lie, but then we also identify the positives of how they handled the situation, and then we
Mm-hmm.
integrate their positives with other people's positives, and we integrate their weaknesses with somebody that has a strength that balances that out. And that's like my favorite part, is to just see people, like, because everyone comes into a team building like, oh, all right, this is going to be so hokey, another team building thing.
Mm-hmm.
But we kind of make it fun and like super challenging. Challenging, that's a good word. We make it challenging, and by the end, it's like, okay, all of that cover up is gone, and everyone's just like, oh man, that was a great time. You did. And they're patting each other on the back like, you did great on that. I would have never thought of that. No, thank goodness, like you know how to explain things to the rest of us that couldn't understand, things like that. So it's,
Mm-hmm.
uh, yeah. That's, I think, with the trust falls and the rope courses, again, I would say, if you're not pulling out the lessons for that, if you're not pushing um, people to their reality, then you're not getting the benefit of a team building. A trust fall is, I trust that you'll catch me if I fall in the real world, but that doesn't necessarily translate that I can trust you if I slip up at work. Are you still going to have my back? Are you going to throw me
Mm-hmm.
under the bus? Things like that. And that's what people worry about in the workplace, that fear of, if I make a mistake, do I lose my prestige? Do I lose my likability? If I, so, that causes people not to speak up for fear of making mistakes, for fear of being wrong, for fear of stepping on someone's toes. If you see a better way to do something that the company's been doing for 20 years, and you're afraid to speak up because someone's going to be offended that that's the way we've always done things. We don't need to change. Things have been fine, like this forever. Who's suffering there? The company. The company
Mm-hmm.
could be you know, getting with the 21st century, but they're being held back by that mindset of like, if someone innovates, then that means that I have failed, or that my ideas are no longer good enough, or all these
Mm-hmm.
fear-based mindsets that really hold people back. I
And
went completely
to,
off topic. I'm so sorry. Went
no
on a
problem.
tangent.
To me, team building is being about being passionate. You see, like when it is your girlfriend leaves you and you're looking to get back and you want to do anything to get back. I want somebody to be passionate like that, passionate about your job. 80% attitude, 20% aptitude. Once you have that attitude, I can work with you. I remember when I was working at a company doing sales training, and members used to come late to the sales training. And at first, I used to be like, okay, all right, I will wait on them. And then, if it's supposed to start 9 o'clock, sometimes they come late, we start 9:30. But then after, you know what I said? Why I am waiting on them when they do not have the right attitude? So when I start my training session now, and let's say it start 9 o'clock, and they reach 8:30, that is them because they are lost out, and that is not the right attitude you want. You can't come 9 o'clock because when you come 9 o'clock, you're already late. You need time to set up yourself, prepare, have your notepad out, your pen, and ready to take in notes. You come, let's say 8:45. Yes, you're prepared because you have 15 minutes before the actual session starts. Don't come 9 and say that you come early. When you come 9, you come late because you need time to prepare yourself. You need time to settle. Let's say you come from, driving, and you was driving without AC and you're not feeling cool. You're coming with a warm temperature, so you have to relax yourself and these kind of things. When you're passionate about something, anything will become easy. You see why I'm passionate about sales? I am talking, not some people might say you're talking out of vexation, but no, you're talking out of determination, persistency, dedication to what it is that you want to achieve in life. And when it is you have that, you will have great debates with people. They might feel that you are getting vexed, but no, it's not that. It's just that you could see the passion inside of you of your expertise. All right, sales is your passion. All right, you're working with a team. Marketing is your passion. You just have to be very passionate and very stern on what it is you're doing. And as I said from before, your girlfriend leave you, you want to get her back, you're going to do all kind of things to get her back. Why it is you can focus that attention or that determination towards a job, which is something that will take you from one pillar to the next because you want to reach somewhere in life. Everybody have that 5-year goal as to where I want to be in life. And once you have that and you going towards that, you will reach your goal regardless. Your will is a must.
Absolutely. I
Mm-hmm.
100% agree with that. And that's why when we talk about culture, our cohesion culture, we talk about mutual commitment. Like, what is your end goal? What do you hope to gain from your role in the company? What do you hope to help the company find success in? Knowing those things, like when you were saying knowing yourself, it's so important to
Mm-hmm.
take the time to self reflect and know why you're doing what you're doing, and um, giving your employees a reason. I had this discussion once. I can't remember who it was, but we were talking about the different roles within the company, and they said something like, even the lowly janitor or something, and I had to stop right there because I e- positions that there's this I don't know. There are some positions that people just view as lowly positions, and so how
Yes,
could you make
totally
somebody
understand.
passionate
Mm-hmm.
about? Yes, how can you make somebody passionate about, or how can somebody find purpose in taking the garbage, or how can somebody find purpose in mopping the floors? I used to do sales for, yeah,
Can I interject? How
yeah,
somebody can, take garbage as a profession, as something. Once you know to yourself, as I mentioned from before, right? Within 5 years, you know to yourself you want to be, let's say, an administrative assistant within that company, right? You work as a garbage collector within the company now, but you're going to school, developing your skills because your eye not set on the garbage collector job that you do now. Your eye set on 5 years from now to be that administrative assistant. So each day you come to work, you not watching that you picking up garbage, you watching yourself, picturing yourself as being administrative assistant, dealing with documents and attending to people, helping them, and that is your aim. So when you come to work and people watching you as a garbage collector, you watching yourself as administrative assistant.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a good
Hmm.
point too. So that's a different point of view than where I was going, but that's a great point of view too. If
Yeah.
somebody knows their why, then picking up the garbage is, it
Hmm.
still has purpose to them. It's a step in the rung of the ladder. I used to do sales for a dog waste company, and part of it was they would poop or scoop the people's yards and whatnot, and it was a $12 an hour position. You're out in the heat, out in the elements, out in the rain. And I could never understand why somebody would want to do that. And there was this one girl that worked there, and she just brought so much joy to the position. Every single customer on her route would give her extra tips. They would make her lunch, they would make her breakfast, they would invite her over on the weekends,
Hmm.
and this is just some random girl that had come and started cleaning their yard, but she built all these relationships with her route and brought on new customers and brought on new, like, large clients, commercial accounts, things like that. And I talked to her and I was like, I don't understand, how are you making you're taking this role and making it so much bigger than it is. Like, you're taking the time to get to know your clients. You have people that are baking muffins just for you because they know you're
Hmm.
coming this morning. Like, you haven't had to feed yourself all week because people are just, like, giving you stuff. And she found joy, just the pooper scooper part of it, like her job part of it was why she got there. But the reason she enjoyed it so much was she loved dogs. She got to play with dogs. That was her passion, was just being able to play with animals, listen to her music, and talk to people all day. It's like, yeah, she had to go and clean up dog poop out of yards, but she found joy in what that brought her to.
Hmm.
She got to play with the dogs all day. She popped her earphones in. She spent all day listening to music. To her, that was good enough. That made her happy. So it's really knowing your whys and your passions, and finding something that fits for you. So even, there are some people that would take the janitor job to work their way up, and then there are some
Hmm.
people that would take the janitor job just because they want to be around people or they enjoy cleaning. They get a
Hmm.
sense of satisfaction just from cleaning. So it's still investing in even the lowly positions is only beneficial for everybody involved.
And Zig Ziglar says it best. You can get anything in life if you just help, if you simply just help other people get what they want. And you know, you might be knowing someone who is a janitor, and you come to work and you treat that person so well that that person never forgot you. And when that person, or that person might have an intention, to do great, and let's say that person become the CEO of the company, and you might be the manager at that time, that person will never forget how it is you treated them at that point in time. And they now might even make you, the CFO right underneath them, because it's just to show you that when it is I was at the lowest level, you was the only person who used to come and talk to me on a daily basis when everybody else used to watch me and said, look at that garbage collector. Look what she is doing. Look what he is doing. And people do not forget when it is you actually help them. And when you
Mhm.
help them, sometimes they reciprocate it where they want to help you in return. And that's how life's supposed to be. And that's how you can bring back humanity in this world, in this life that we are living in. Look at this
I
global
love that
pandemic.
you said that, bring back the humanity. That's what. I feel like the pendulum's swinging that way, and I really do love it. I love it.
The thing about it is that my whole take about it is that I rather provide more value to you or help you more than you could even think about I helping you. You might feel that it's something that I want in return, but just knowing I get satisfaction from that as an individual, knowing that I can help someone. If someone, I being honest, reach out to me and let's say I know to myself this person not working right now. I know times hard with this global pandemic that we're facing. And the person said, "Hey, what? I want you to do a flyer for me. I want you to do a banner for me. How much would you charge?" And I know to myself the person not working. You know what I would say? Just give me the information. I will do it for you, because why I'm going to charge you, knowing that you're not working right now, knowing that times are very hard, that would be wrong for me. Not saying for anybody else, but to me, I would tell myself, here what? I will do it for you. And I just do it out of the goodness out of my heart, because I am doing the situation that what we are in presently.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I have that same I'm that same way. I'm just like
Hmm.
if somebody's asking for help to get themselves to the next level, or
Hmm.
things like that, that's my passion, is just helping people be the best version they can be. And if someone's willing to ask for help, that's a huge step. If somebody's willing to ask for help, not very many people are willing to ask for help. Most people will try to struggle through and like prove that they can do it on their own and things like that. If somebody's willing to ask for help, then who am I to deny that help?
This person said a Benjamin Toy, a janitor, became a CEO of Frito Lay.
There you go. There.
Wonderful, wonderful. You see, and we talking on the same, topic with janitor. So that is just to show that you start one place today, but tomorrow is you're not sure what tomorrow can bring, and that's why you always have to keep the faith. It's fear is something is not of this world. Sometimes we say we must embrace fear. Once we have faith and kick fear out of the back door, we will always be successful. Keep that faith that tomorrow you could be somebody different. Today a janitor, tomorrow a CEO. It's reality
Yeah,
we face, and we hear so many success stories that people started sleeping on the floor, have nothing to eat, came from a next country, there's not a citizen of United States of America, and boom, they was able to maybe get one gig acting, and then that one gig now turned them into be a superstar, and that's life for them. And they know in return, some of them, not all of them, might want to do the same favor for other people who didn't had that opportunity that they had.
absolutely. Yeah.
So I want to ask you this question here. So in terms of like team building, what are some of the negative, you know, could come out of it? What would you say, in closing, because I see we approached the 30-minute mark, but in closing, what would you say some of the negatives could come out of team building?
I think even the negatives that would come out of team building would end up, like, in the long term, be positive. So a negative might be you really pinpoint that somebody is not a culture fit. That might feel like a negative because now you have to figure out what you're going to do with that employee. Are you going to let them go? Are you going to invest in developing them personally? You have to make that decision. And so that can be kind of negative. Um, but in the long run, that's a great thing because you're figuring out that that person either doesn't belong or needs extra help to belong. And that, in the long term, that's better. Um, we have seen, uh, you know, we have seen we have seen just some arguing, bickering in
Hmm.
a
Yeah.
team building session. So that can be a negative in the immediate moment, but again,
Hmm.
that can be positive because you're figuring out what the root of the problem is. so that then
Correct.
you can treat that versus the leaves. We're
Hmm.
not treating the
Yeah.
leaves, we're hacking away at the root. So in that moment it can feel like a negative, but through more team building, more development, that can be turned into a positive, because once you deal with that root issue, you shouldn't have to deal with that again. Once you find the proper solution to that, then that is resolved. And then that's better in the long run, because those people that were bickering now either communicate together, or you figured out again that somebody wasn't a right fit for the team and that's why the bickering occurred. Or sometimes it can be something personal going on in someone's life too.
Yes.
Just becoming aware of that can help you handle the situation differently. So I think negative things have happened, and mostly around conflict kind of things, conflict and communication issues. But the negatives only push us more forward towards the positive outcomes.
That is so imperative because I would say, right, in team building, it's always good to have like a group chat, you know,
Mhm.
to know exactly what's going on. It's always good to find out how each one they going. You might send a message in the group chat, but at the same time, and as being a team leader, what I will do, I will call each person, if it's not every day, but maybe once a week, to find out how things are going. Because we have to understand that it have people who have their personal lives not in our order. It have problems within, the relationship, maybe within in terms of your finances. So, you know, people are not perfect. We have to know that because some employers tend to feel that you must be perfect in terms of the job, come to work on time each day, execute the duties and responsibilities. But we are only human. We are not robotic. We are not no AI technology. So you have to work with someone. To me, it's all about the attitude. Once I see you have that attitude, and if in between you didn't come to work on time, or something wrong at home and you didn't want to come to work, it's not a problem. But you have to work with the person. To me, it's better to work with the person. Once you know that person have the attitude, better you work with them than to bring in somebody new, because you can bring in somebody new and that person now don't have to effectively or efficiently do their job. And most employers feel that, all right, you're not doing your work, people looking for work, I will let you go and bring in somebody else. And if it is that somebody else now doing nonsense, I will let go that person too and bring in somebody else and keep on going. So, but then after now, your company now will have a bad name. You will have a high employee turnover, and then no one will want to apply for the opportunity that you may have. So companies have to understand these things and take all these things consideration. And a team leader is somebody that have to have many skills and qualities to become a team leader. It's not just about, all right, the experience, the qualifications. No, it's about the traits. Your persona. Is all these things that comprise an effective team leader.
Well, and I mean, the cost of having to constantly replace an employee is astronomical. I mean, you have to
Yeah.
think about the time of putting the ads out there, searching, interviewing, second interviews, hiring, training, all of the organizational knowledge that the previous employee just left with. Now you have to, wait months and months for the new person to get that too. Um, so yeah, I mean, it's much better to develop your team than to constantly be like, well, somebody made a mistake, let's get rid of them and replace that. And that again comes in the hiring process. If your hiring process is solid, then you're hiring people that fit within the company. But if your hiring process is flawed, then you're going to experience things like that, constant employee turnover, because you're pulling in people that are not a good fit. But and then to speak to where you're saying like call your team members and check in on them, especially during the pandemic, that was imperative. And
Yeah. Hmm.
the thing I do want to note though is that you had to already have an established culture of trust within the company to be able to truly have that phone call. Because I could call somebody and be like, "How are you doing?" And what is the polite response? "Oh, I'm good. How are you?" and everybody says that. But if you have that level of trust and that relationship, that belonging, that family
Mm-hmm.
feeling, then you can call that person and they know they can say, man, I am stressed out this week. I had to take on the kids' schooling and I'm dealing with this project too. Like, I'm going to get it done. I'm just like stressed out right now. And to be able as a team leader to say, whoa, like, I get it. If you need an extra day or two, please invest in that person as the human being that they are. And their return to you and your company is, tenfold, because now they have a sense of loyalty to you. They feel that you value them as a person, not just for the job that they do,
Mm-hmm.
but who they are and who they are in life. That feeling alone will make somebody work extra hard. You know.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it's
That,
all
that
about being empathetic. You want to share each other views, each other feelings, know what going on. Besides the work life, I want to find out, how everything going, family life, not trying to be too inquisitive, but, we just want to know that everything is good at you because we care about you. Besides you doing the job, we care about you as a person, your well-being. And when you have that compassion and that interaction, as you mentioned, you will have the strongest team. And other companies now might want to know, well, how come, this team is so effective? What they're doing, let me try to let me try to understand, let me send somebody to spy to know what is doing. But they don't understand that it's the loyalty and trust within the team that
Mhm.
have the team, succeeding to profitability for the company that no other company would ever thought that this company would have maybe take from zero to, let me say, 20% in no time. And that is something that is unique and is a trait, amongst the team members that other teams wouldn't have.
100%. I mean, we've all worked at a company where you don't feel valued. You don't feel like your boss listens to you. You don't feel like the company is very good. Moral ethics, things like that. And what do? You do the bare minimum to get by. You go in, you work enough to get your paycheck, and that's it. Now, the difference in that versus an employee that feels valued or has a relationship with their boss and their company and feels important in their role and feels looked at as an actual human being, they're going to come in and do their best. And yes, even as a human being, there's going to be off days. And everybody is, I mean, even a piece of machinery has an off day and has to be fixed and serviced. And we're humans. We definitely are going to have off days. But the majority of the time, they're going to be going above and beyond, because they not only are loving they're not only loving their position and they have purpose within the company, but they feel that sense of family, of that belonging with their teammates. They don't want to let their teammates down. They don't want to let their boss down, because their boss has invested in them as a human. Their boss has shown them that they care about them as a person, and they want to reciprocate. I mean, most sane people will want to reciprocate that level of care and pouring into. They want to
Mhm.
give back how they can, and how they can is through their position and helping the company.
So I must say that this discussion on team building, I sure add a lot of value, and it's a topic that you could talk for a while. I believe that team building should be a part two with our discussion because I actually feeling, the connection where, we're talking about on the same level, have the same pointers, elaborate differently. But team building is something that many companies um, will want to know how to really do it. They will want to know because I sure and know that many companies are getting problems with teams,
Hmm.
and they want to know how to really mold and group a team where they don't have to be, taking out an individual and putting in another individual to try to have that team building going. And it's just about communication. Tony Robbins says it best. What you practice in private is what you'll be rewarded for in public. And these is all the things that individuals and teams have to understand, what you practice in private, it will display in public. So when you practice now how to be loyal, how to trust your team members, how to, well, trust your family. It starts at the family. How to trust your family, be loyal to your family, be committed to a relationship. And when you do that in the home, then now you can take that now and put it into a team. It's the same thing as just as energy basically transferring from the family to the team.
That's absolutely agree. That's what we like to say about our team building is the lessons not only translate to the business world, but the lessons are integral. And so they come home too, and they can
Yeah.
help improve your home life, your relationships, because you, those values and those lessons you're learning and those solutions you're learning are just part of being a better person as a whole, not just with the company, but being a better person as a whole is imperative for success within the company as well.
So
Well,
true.
and that's, you've got, like you just said, what you practice in private, like that's who you really are. And so, as we talked about earlier, when we come to work, we kind of typically put on kind of a work armor or a
Mhm.
work personality, but
Yeah.
when push comes to shove, the true you is going to come out, and that's the true you needs to be the best version of you it can be, so when
Hmm.
those things do come out, it's a good thing, not like, oh no, Jerry's gone off the rails again. You don't want that to be what
I like
happens.
that. Yeah. So, for sure, we have to do a part two on team building. For sure.
Okay.
And I would like to say, Zoe, it was thankful of you to come on today and let us have this conversation. I just tell people that,
Thank you.
being on a live is not about, trying to present information. It's about you conversating with the person. And once you have that in mind, that you are having a conversation, everything will flow effectively and efficiently. And you wouldn't be, lost for the right words to say, because sometimes after the conversation might be like, hey, I missed out this point, I missed out that point, but just be yourself. And this morning it was great. And part two, you guys stay tuned.
Thank you for
So
having me, Antonio.
you're welcome anytime, and I wish you have a blessed and enjoyable rest of day and
You
weekend.
too.
And thanks for everyone who watching right now on the live and also who watch the replay.